Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about something that I am very familiar with when it comes to the NBA draft, and this is the NCAA may alter pro draft eligibility. Antitrust suits, yeah, I definitely agree, will definitely follow. They're not going to try to allow this, but this is April 6th by Michael McKinnon. I don't know who this guy is, legal reporter, I guess, but we're going to read, no, I'm not reading all this. But he does a great job explaining most of what I'm saying. So last week, the NCAA announced it was reviewing several proposed changes to pre-college enrollment eligibility rules. This is before you get to college. And if approved, these rules will go into effect in 2026. One rule would require athletes who are not yet in college to withdraw from pro sports league drafts where a player can opt in for consideration. Under this policy, a pre-college player who declares for and doesn't withdraw from a draft will be permanently ineligible for NCAA competition in that sport, even if they aren't selected. Now, this is when, people are already hearing about how some athletes are trying to go in the NBA draft. They go through the draft, don't get drafted, and then say, okay, I want to go back to college. That's done. They're not allowing that anymore because I would have done that and I couldn't do it. So I'm not doing it, but they definitely ain't about to allow you to do this no more. Right now, the NBA draft features an opt-in system under Article 10 of the NBAPL, the collective bargaining agreement. American players can declare for the NBA draft if they are 19 years old and at least one NBA season has elapsed since they graduate from high school. This is technically the college, you have to go to college for 1 year rule. This is what that is. The reason why I did this, or if they didn't graduate, the reason why I did this because of international players. Or if they didn't graduate the time of when they would have graduated. They must provide a league notice in writing no later than 60 days before the draft. They can withdraw their names about 10 days before that draft. Prior to 2006, of course, NBA players go from high school to the pros. Of course, LeBron, Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Dwight Howard, Tracy McGrady, Amari Stoudemire is another one. Meanwhile, in international players, some of whom turn pro as teenagers, must also be 19, but they face no associated educational restrictions, unlike American players, because the way European runs their leagues, their clubs are completely different. So yes, they can become pro. I've seen pros at 17 over there. So they run pro. They don't get paid like the way we do though, but some do, like very rarely, but then they can still go to college and go there. We can get away with that over here in the United States. American players who have completed 4 years of collegiate eligibility and international players who are 22 are automatically eligible to be drafted, of course. NIL draft also allows early opt-in. We're not going to talk about these. With NIL, yes, this right here is the big. NIL college wants to stay in school. This is why for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about all these lawsuits, how players are fighting to try to stay in. This is why there's more money in college. And let's be honest, some of these athletes, even though they got NIL deals, won't make it as a pro. So they're trying to milk as much as they can while they can. Proposed eligibility arises as the association has gradually moved away from the system of amateurism, where an athlete who had already turned pro in the sport was ineligible to play that same sport in college. NCAA now allows NIL deals where a college athlete can use their right of publicity to sign an endorsement or influencing contract. Yeah, it's also agreed with this settlement, of course, which permits an influencing contract. Permits college athletes to directly pay athletes a share of revenue. Those are the clear signs of college sports turning to something akin to professional. Yes, of course. Albeit with caveats, as college athletes are 1, full-time degree-seeking students, 2, barred from accepting pay-for-play arrangements, and 3, limited in eligibility to 4 seasons of a sport within 5 years. The thing is, they've been breaking this anyway. The ability to earn millions of dollars in college has sparked lawsuits brought by athletes who either don't want to leave college sports or who want back in. Yes, and there is Vanderbilt I just talked about earlier. I don't know if I talked about it earlier, but in a previous video, I talked about how Vanderbilt is trying to fight with the new changes of the 20% or ghost for what's called ghost transfers. Essentially people who really aren't transferred, but they're bringing them in and having them compete athletically even though they didn't transfer yet. So in this, Vanderbilt makes sense that the quarterback under the NCAA to play a 6th season in college. There have been 71 eligibility lawsuits filed across the country. Lawsuits are grounded in antitrust law and contend the NCAA has been, essentially. It's really monopolized, dude. Monopsony is this even a word? I don't even know. Let's see. Will you tell me what this word is? What does this mean? A market situation in which there's only one buyer. Monopsony? Like who? Oh my gosh. All right, you know what? Maybe I don't know my vocabulary that well, but what is that? Monopsony power? Okay, well, hey, I learned a new word today. Which is the buying side equivalent of monopoly power. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Over the buying of athletes' services, and the NCAA's members use eligibility rules to restrain how each would otherwise economically compete to sign athletes. If colleges could sign and pay athletes who have already played 4 seasons within 5 years, some would oblige. Yeah, I would too. And likely to try to keep those athletes on their roster for many years. Those players might also want to remain college athletes for a long time. Yeah, they do. Remains eligible for the 2026 draft. He reportedly earned millions of dollars a year as a superstar for the Commodores, but his future in the NFL is uncertain given that at 5'10", he is short for a quarterback. College athletes like Pavia now able to earn considerable money. There is a stronger argument those athletes are not merely student athletes, but instead members of an employment-like labor group. Yes. NCAA has warned that if the eligibility litigation is successful, college athletes might try to play 18 seasons and well into their 30s. Yeah, which is why Donald Trump signed an executive order. Pro athletes wanted to, yeah, I would too. The potential of earning considerable money has already attracted pro basketball players to become college students, pushing eligibility boundaries even further. Last year, of course, former G League Ignite player to play at Santa Clara. This was a significant development because G League players are undoubtedly, they signed employment contracts and through the Next Gen Basketball Players Union are members. No, we're not. I'm not buying this because if that was, and when they let me go in the middle of the season, y'all would have did something. There was no, maybe it's different now. But when I was playing, there was no freaking union. I'm not hearing that. The NCAA also permitted former G League player who was a 31st pick in the 2023 NBA draft but didn't play in the NBA to play at Baylor. Further, NCAA has welcomed 4 European pro basketball players, including Brooklyn Nets rookie, BYU, But the NCAA has drawn a line with, who played 5 games for Alabama this spring before a judge denied him an injunction to play the rest of the season. Like, this is hard. They're gonna play 2 seasons at Alabama and then declare for the 2023 NBA draft. He went undrafted. This is the point. He went undrafted but signed 2-way contracts. An NBA contract that allowed him to play part of the season in the NBA and part in the G League. That is what a 2-way contract is. If people don't know, it's normally they call them. You play 45 days in NBA. I think you play around 20 games, ideally, and then you play the rest of the games in G League. But there is play requirement. You must be playing at a certain level or they can cut your 2-way contract off. And I've watched that happen with a number of players when I played for the Grand Rapids Drive in particular. Let's say partner G League. Allow him to play part. Back didn't appear in the NBA regular season games, but NCAA found him signing an NBA contract to be a difference maker. Yeah, I can see this. All right, I'm just gonna let all this go. But basically, all of this is going into the fact that there is a massive change that's going on for all these athletes who want to go back to college. Now, we've talked about this earlier in the past, but this is the reason why the NCAA, I keep saying it, the NCAA dropped the ball. It's more lucrative because NCAA failed to create the boundaries first. Because once again, they were too greedy to even allow athletes to get their fair share. Now you incentivize pro athletes to go back to college. Now, I'm not saying this is a completely bad thing, especially in the G League. G League, you only make $35,000 a year. That's the contract. It is not guaranteed. This is the part that they don't know about. Those contracts are not guaranteed. They can let you go at any time. So if it was me and I'm playing in the G League, yeah, I'm going back to college. I'm definitely going back to college. So it's allow players to go back to college. Now, I'm sure they're going to close some of these loopholes as things get on, but the whole point I'm bringing that up is that the NCAA, you've incentivized professional athletes to go back to college because the financial opportunity is better in college than it is in the NBA, especially in the lower tiers of the NBA, G League, bench warmers. Like, that's basically where I was when I was in the G League. So that's dangerous. It's very dangerous because you did not plan for this. And now you're having guys who have NBA experience go back to college. Like, of course they're going to dominate. And since the bigger schools, as I talked about in my previous videos, since the bigger schools have all the money, they're the ones who are going to get those players. And just like the article said, these guys are going to want to stay to the 30s. I would have easily stayed in college in my 30s if I could. So that's what's going to end up happening. Now you're going to just mandate these older gentlemen and people over the age of 25, 26, when these kids should be between the ages of 18 to 22. Now you're dealing with guys almost in their 30s. So now you're making it to where now kids can't really enjoy their opportunities. And then you throw in all this money. Now the money is going to mandate it. And there are a number of articles we can bring up here that is already showing how bad things are getting when it comes to some of the money and some of the corruption that's going on. So anyway, how can we make this work for us? Basically, you have to stay vigilant. As athletes, as parents, there are pros who are now got to play against your kids. Now, this could be an opportunity for them because if they embarrass them, which they can, it could be a big thing for them. But most likely, they're going to take opportunities for your kids. Now, the executive order, it can help, but ultimately the executive order is only going to do so much. There's too much money in college sports. They're going to find another loophole. They always will. It's always going to happen. So the best thing we can do is stay informed and make sure that we make the best of our opportunities while we have it. When you're in college, enjoy yourself, but stay disciplined, build a brand, and capitalize as much as you can while you're there. Because it's not always going to be there. But as I continue to say in my videos, it's the athletes who have the value, no one else. You're the one, you athletes, you guys I'm talking to now, you're the one who's in the gym 2 hours, plus another 2 hours. I was playing from 8 to 12 every day. I had to dedicate 4 hours when I was in college. And that's not even including school. Ain't no one else doing that. Go ask someone else, anyone else on that street. Hey, I want you to work out 4 hours at an elite level, and I want you to go for school full time. See how long they survive. Most won't. So for all the naysayers who say, well, athletes don't deserve all this money. No, yeah, they do. Because they probably worked harder at that sport than, in my opinion, these naysayers have worked in anything in their entire lives. You don't understand what real discipline looks like until you get yourself to the D1, where you had to invest thousands and thousands of hours before you even hit the age of 18. I've met a number of parents who that's all they live for. They live vicariously through their kids because if they failed when they were kids. They weren't able to handle it. And I'm not saying it's a completely bad thing. Some parents, I get it. You're willing to sacrifice for your kids, which is how it should be. But there are a lot of parents I meet that have all this stuff to say, well, why these kids are making all this money? Because they earned it legitimately. They earned it. The only difference is they're not getting any piece of it. That's the problem. But they earned it, because if they didn't, y'all wouldn't be turning into those games. Why are you watching those games then? Because how great they are, how great athletically they are. You think that comes overnight? There is a numerous amount of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into those performances that so many people love to watch so much. I easily put over 20,000 hours into basketball. Easily. Oh man, it has to be more than that. So they deserve it. How much? Yes, that's up for debate. But the one thing I want people to take away from this is that there's always going to be opportunities to leverage who you are. This is why I call my thing, it will call my show all Beyond the Court. You gotta be able to see yourself off the field, because then you can really maximize your opportunities. So when you go out into this real world, all those naysayers, you dominate past them, because you know how hard work is. It's easy for you. I'm doing it now. The way I'm living right now, most people wouldn't be able to survive. But it's nothing to me. To me, it's a cost of doing business. And to most athletes, it's exactly how it is. I know it. So anyway, that's the video. That's what's going on. Just want to keep people up to date, informed, and I'll see you next time.